All right, let's get right into it. If you're planning to study abroad, things are changing. And I mean, they're changing fast. The rule book that everyone was using just a year or two ago, it's basically being torn up and rewritten. So if you've got your sights set on 2026, you need to know you're stepping onto a completely new playing field.
So, is that you? Are you dreaming of packing your bags, hopping on a plane, and starting a new life at a university overseas in 2026? Well, if the answer is yes, then you are really going to want to listen up. The game has totally changed, and the big players, we're talking the most popular countries, are starting to tighten the screws. First on our list, Australia. They've rolled out a brand new system that is specifically designed to hit the brakes on visa processing for some universities.
Then you've got Canada. For years, it's been this super welcoming place for students. Now, they're putting a hard limit, a cap, on how many new international students they'll let in. And rounding out the big three, we have the UK. They're slashing the length of their very popular post-study work visa and making it harder to get in the door in the first place. Look, this is not just a bunch of random coincidences. This is a deliberate global shift happening all at once. We're calling this the Great Student Squeeze. You can feel it, right? The doors that felt wide open are now starting to narrow. And there's a reason for it. These countries are feeling the heat when it comes to things like housing and public services. So in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly what these new rules are, country by country, and most importantly, what it means for your strategy. Okay, let's start our world tour down under. Australia's big move is this new policy that completely flips the script on how student visas are handled. Think of it like they've reshuffled the entire deck, and now everyone's trying to figure out the new order. So the official name is Ministerial Direction 115, or just MD 115. Here's the deal. Australia saw a massive surge in student numbers, which put a ton of pressure on housing and infrastructure. So this new rule is their way of managing that growth. It's designed to reward universities that stay inside their government-approved limits and to, well, slow things down for those who don't. So how does it actually work? It's pretty straightforward, really. You've got 3 lanes. If the university you applied to is under 80% of its student quota, boom, you're in the fast lane. Your application gets top priority. But if your university has gone way over, past 115%, you get put in the slow lane. The massive takeaway here is that the university you choose now directly impacts how fast or how painfully slow your visa gets processed. But wait, there's more. On top of the priority lanes, Australia also got rid of its old genuine temporary entrant requirement and brought in a much stricter genuine student test. You now have to answer these very targeted questions, and you only get 150 words for each. You have to prove, beyond a doubt, that your number one reason for being there is to study. Vague, generic answers are just not going to fly anymore. You need to be specific and back up everything you say. All right, let's jump over to the UK and Canada now, because the story continues. These two are also putting up new hurdles, making it tougher, not just to get in, but also to stay and work after you finish your degree. This slide lays it out perfectly side by side. Let's start with the UK. That super popular graduate visa, it's getting cut from 2 years down to just 18 months. And if you want to stay and work, the English language test just got harder. You now need a B2 level, which is a solid upper intermediate fluency. Then there's Canada. They're setting a firm cap for 2026, only 155,000 new international students. That's it. It's all part of a much bigger plan to shrink their temporary resident population. Okay, so with the big English-speaking countries making things tougher, you might be wondering, what are the alternatives? Well, Germany has a very different approach, but it comes with its own unique and pretty significant challenge right at the beginning. So, what's that challenge? It all boils down to this number. To even apply for a German student visa, you have to prove you have at least 11,904 euros set aside just for living expenses. And it's not as simple as showing a bank statement. No, that money has to go into a special kind of bank account called a blocked account or a Sparkonto. From there, it pays out a fixed monthly allowance. So the trade-off is pretty clear, right? On one hand, you get a world-class education with no tuition fees at most public universities and access to the biggest economy in Europe with an 18-month work visa. But you only get that if you can clear this massive financial hurdle first. All right, we've gone through all the new rules. Now it's time to put it all together. This is what we're calling the 2026 Study Abroad Showdown. We're going to put the top 4 destinations head-to-head, looking at the things that really matter to you. Man, this table really lays it all out, doesn't it? Let's walk through it. First up, the cost. No surprise, the UK's one-year master's programs make it the most affordable. The US, by far the most expensive, but that often comes with those top-tier university names. Next, let's talk about your actual chances, the visa success rate. The UK is your safest bet at 85%, while the US has dipped to a kind of scary 71%. What about working after you graduate? Well, Canada and Australia are the clear leaders here, with really generous multi-year options. And finally, the big one for so many of you, the path to permanent residency. Canada is the hands-down winner with the fastest and clearest process. The US, on the other hand, it's pretty much a lottery.
This chart really visualizes the risk factor we were just talking about. It's stark. With an 85% success rate, applying to the UK gives you the most peace of mind. But the US, well, it's the biggest gamble. We're talking nearly 3 out of every 10 applications getting rejected. So yeah, where you apply makes a huge difference to your odds of actually getting there.
So, after all that, what do you do? How on earth do you decide? Well, this last part of our explainer is all about you. It's about figuring out your main goal and then matching it to the right country. It's your move. You really have to sit down and ask yourself this one simple question. What is my number one priority? Why am I really doing this? Is it to eventually immigrate? Is it about getting the fastest return on your investment? Or is it more about lifestyle and opportunity? Because your answer, it changes absolutely everything. If your endgame, your ultimate goal, is to immigrate and build a new life in a new country, then the data couldn't be clearer. Right now, the fastest, most straightforward path to permanent residency is through Canada. But hey, maybe your priority is speed. Maybe you want to get a world-class degree in just 1 year and start earning a great salary while your friends are still slogging through their second year. If that's you, the UK offers the best and fastest return on investment. What if you're looking for that perfect balance? Great job opportunities, a really high quality of life, and amazing weather. Well, then Australia, with its long post-study work rights, is still an incredible choice. And finally, what if your goal is pure prestige? You want that degree from a globally famous university, maybe an Ivy League, and you have the stomach for the high costs and the very real risk of getting your visa denied, then the USA is still the mountain you might want to climb.
So, there you have it. The entire landscape for international students heading into 2026 has been completely redrawn. All the old advice, the old assumptions, you can pretty much throw them out the window. The name of the game now is being smart, being informed, and being strategic. The rules have definitely changed. The only question left is, has your strategy